Hello everyone, my name is Fyer-Huné, this is Fab Films, and here I have lovely Lisa Mastroianni, is that right?
Mastroianni.
Mastroianni. Beautiful name, absolutely beautiful. A art director, set decorator, prop maker, and based in New York. I never thought I'd make to someone in America, so I can't believe it. You've worked with some humongous names, from Warner Brothers to Disney Plus, which everyone's loving at the moment. It's saving COVID. HBO Max and CBS, and it goes on and on and on. From how much, even like Spotify, and you've travelled around. So I'm so excited to learn more. So introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This is a great opportunity. I'm definitely working on the on-camera thing now, so we're very behind the scenes generally. So this is a great way to really connect with people, and I appreciate you having me on.
Oh no.
So yeah. Yeah, so as you stated, I do art direct, and I set, dress, and decorate. So we kind of pick out the things that go in the backgrounds of. I primarily do TV and commercial work. So, that's really fun. And then we have the opportunity to make curiosities, which are just weird things that are one of a kind. So that's always a fun thing to do. And then just props, sort of managing project management of props, as well as making props throughout the run of a show. So
nice.
That's the everyday.
That sounds like a crazy fun everyday. I can't just leave this. What's this weird stuff that you're in about? That creating one of a kind. What is this? That sounds so intriguing.
Yeah, so some of the one of a kind pieces, I got to have a lot of fun on this Disney Plus show that I just worked on, and it's a kids game show. It's called The Big Fib. Yvette Nicole Brown is the host on that. She does a lot of stuff with Disney and just all over TV in general. So that was really fun because, for instance, we had is it phrenology, the head that has like all the pieces on it that says what part of the brain controls what emotions.
Yeah.
So we had a head like that, but then we had these little toothpicks with homemade flags of what those items were coming out of the head. So it was basically this statue with a bunch of spikes and flags coming out of it. Very weird, but very cool for that show. I realized towards the end of the show, actually, admittingly enough, I didn't piece it together because I was so in work zone, but at the end of the show, towards the end, I realized, oh my gosh, I'm making props for the Imagineers right now. And I just was like, well, this is the happiest place in the world and happiest place in my heart right now to be able to be part of this. So it was very cool. Very cool.
It sounds really, really cool. And it just, I bet when you do get so stuck in the work mode, sometimes you have to take a step back and go, wow, I am actually doing this, because to me sounds mint, even though I'm trying to visualize this brain thing. I feel like I need to see it in person to understand, but it sounds like your creativity could just go crazy, which is brilliant.
Yeah, and I'm very fortunate to work with designers that they have ideas and we execute those, but a lot of the designers I work with are also very much interested to see what you have to bring to the table, and I'm really, really fortunate to be able to work with a lot of those people. I just feel like the collaboration is fantastic, of just where an idea starts and then where it goes. So that's always fun and interesting. I mean, there's always a lot of people that weigh in too. There's producers that weigh in. I mean, it's never a one-day thing, if you will.
Wow, that goes on to my question of, where did this all start then?
So this is, I was thinking about this question, and where did it start for me in my career? I was in 5th grade, and I was probably 11 or 12 years old. And my mother and I would always do this very corny Watch Miss America thing. And I remember turning around and saying to her, I want to do that. And she says, what, you want to be Miss America? And I'm like, no, I don't want to be on the show. I want to work in the, in the background. She was like, what do you mean? I'm like, I just want to work like backstage, I thought it was just such a cool thing, an idea, you're 11, not, you don't know what that means. But basically, that's almost kind of what I'm doing now in a way. I knew I wanted to go to an art college. So I did that. I spent my high school and college years always on student government and putting events together and fundraisers and whatnot. So the producer side of me has always kind of just been there. And then I got an opportunity when I graduated to work for a production company in New York. And I worked there for 2 years. And then I decided, well, I want to go to LA. So I picked up and I didn't really know anybody. And I moved to Los Angeles with 4 suitcases, pulled everything literally, off the plane, got in a rental car and just drove to the one person I knew out there. I kind of started. It was a friend from high school. And ironically enough, she's a successful actress now. And we used to do the theater shows together in high school. So I'll never forget that moment, driving up the PCH, which is the Pacific Coast Highway in California. It's just a beautiful, beautiful drive.
God, that sounds amazing. It's what happened.
My first job, my first gig in the industry, just actually to cut back to college, my last semester, we were doing an advertising class. And this producer came in to sort of do a lecture. And I just couldn't even stop staring at him and listening to everything that he was saying about being on set. And he offered an opportunity to people in the class to work on a national breast cancer commercial. So it was an unpaid thing. I mean, we were allowed to come and intern as like production assistants, getting the coffee, sweeping the floor, all those things. And I jumped at the opportunity. And ironically enough, that is a lady by the name of Hillary Cutter, who has Cutter Productions. That was her first commercial that she produced as her women-owned company in her name. It was my first production that I ever worked on, and now I'm her production designer. So it's kind of crazy. That was 15 years ago, and we're good friends to this day. And just to see how she's grown and to be able to grow with her has been a blessing.
God, that sounds like a brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So you were still on about LA as well. I'm not letting you stop about your journey yet. I'm so intrigued of how everything's happened. So what happened when you went to LA then?
So when I went to LA, I had one contact. I had a contact in New York that said, if you do come out, I'll get you on a job. So my first job out there, I was a PA. I did a show, I think it was called Celebrity Circus with CBS. And it was in this, the big CBS studio in Burbank. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to make it. You just get on that one show and you think, oh my gosh. And then after that, I got on another show. And then I was like, well, I don't really know anybody in LA. So I wound up actually being bi-coastal for probably about 2 years. All my contacts were in New York. So I would fly back to New York, then back to LA, back to New York, back to LA. I wound up linking up with a producer, Tracy Mauser. She's an executive producer, amazing woman who I was at the time doing producing work. I wasn't always in the art department. I started in production, then I went into the producing, and that's where I met Tracy. And Tracy had said, Lisa, why aren't you doing art? And I said, I don't know. It's never really been an opportunity that came my way. I mean, I would love to be doing, I would love to be in the art department. So on the next show, she called me And I knew she was calling me about another show. I didn't know that she was calling me to say, I'm really sad to lose you on my team. And I'm like, okay, where's this going? And she says, but I'm really happy to offer you an art director position on my next show. So I jumped. I was so fortunate that the first art job I had was a lead of a department for a show that I worked on with her. So that was like kind of an incredible experience. And then after that, it just connection, word of mouth. And there you go. I've been doing that. I've been doing art specifically now for 7 to 8 years. Probably.
Oh, you've got my heart going. That's amazing. Like, that is also, and these sound like such empowering women that you've been around and just so, because I get the bold feeling from you. Like, when you answered, I was like, oh, here is a woman who knows what she's doing. I love it. So, God, that's a brilliant journey. What a lovely, lovely journey. It must have been very hard traveling from LA to New York constantly. That must have been, I mean, I'm not going to say because you won't know where it is in England, but I used to travel back and forth from Manchester and this other place. It's no big deal. But
to UK, I know where Manchester is. I've worked in London, and I had a friend that lived in Manchester, so I know that commute.
Really, well, not to London. It was like somewhere in the Midlands, but it was just like, oh, yeah. That's nothing compared to yours, and it's tiring. So well done that you did that.
You.
Amazing. As well as everything else that you've done. So this is probably going to be a really difficult question now, but what has been your favorite part of your journey?
So I actually wrote some notes about this one. My favorite part is actually one of my least favorite parts.
Okay.
The unknown is probably the biggest rush and the biggest downfall. I always resonate with the thought that if you're not comfortable, then you're not growing. So I think just always kind of allowing myself to be in situations that were uncomfortable, a good uncomfortable, obviously. I knew that was going to sort of get me to the next chapter in my life. And then the other favorite part, I would say, the first time I started traveling for work, both domestically and then my first international job, that was a highlight of my life. I mean, I am addicted to getting on a plane. So I would love to travel any show. I mean, I've come to Europe a couple of times now. Part of the reason that I left LA and moved back to New York is because I wanted to be closer to Europe for opportunities. So,
well, when I was looking up you, because obviously you have to do a bit of stalking, I noticed that it's in the USA, Germany, and London, which are quite big differences of like places and culture-wise. Like Germany's a lot different than the UK, obviously than the USA, which is brilliant. And it sounds like you're very adaptable.
Yes, I think. Thank you. I think definitely being in this industry, you sort of have to have being adaptable in your blood. It's just ever changing every single day. I mean, you can't be offended if you stayed up all night making that one thing that they absolutely had to have, and then they either don't like it or the creative changed and you have to do something else. I think that I think advice that I would give if you're in this industry is sort of being okay with that. It's not personal. It's business.
It's business, darling. I love that. Because you get turned down a lot. I know I've been turned down a lot, and it just mainly art. I feel like it's people's perception of what they want and what you want to if you can make it the same or similar, it's hard, isn't it? But I can imagine it's hard for you.
I think it's hard because as artists, especially, we're very invested in our work. So, I think there's that separation that you need to have, that the painting's never done, if you will. There's 5 strokes that will make that painting look completely different. I mean, I think it's just kind of getting to a point knowing when to stop and walk away also.
Yeah, and that's always hard when there's creative people walking away from something like the question is they're building the passion. Do you find it hard walking away from sometimes and just
Yes, I don't want to step on a future question, but I would
Oh,
say
yeah, before we can flow, girl. Don't you worry.
I would say the biggest hurdle is knowing when to stop and shut my brain off. As I mentioned, it's hard when you're invested in something, especially in a creative way. That's also being okay. There's this twofold. You know, one thing is knowing that it's done and it looks good. It can always be better, but it's great as it is. And the second part of that is taking care of yourself. You know, there's been many days that I've either not slept or had very minimal sleep, that you just realize later in the day, oh, wow, I didn't eat all day. Or I know you're looking at me like I'm crazy because the Europeans know how to take an actual lunch and sit down. That was a huge thing when I was shooting in Spain. They were like, oh, we're going to go to lunch now. It was like 2 hours. They had a glass of wine. I'm like, I'm in the wrong country right now.
I was gonna say, I wish I had a glass of wine, but no, I don't.
Yeah. Oh, that was like, oh man, Barcelona was amazing.
Oh,
I
you're
really loved our fixer there.
before you get a glass of wine and it's water, I was like, oh, she's on a glass of wine. Then I realized the time difference.
Yeah, just water. It's only 1:30 here.
It is 6 p.m. here, guys. 6:30. So, well, is there anything else that you'd like to add to your favourite parts or the main hurdles? Because I mean, I don't want to just cut it off there. If there's more.
Uh, you know, another hurdle I was caring about what people think too much, feeling confident about what I could offer. You know, I don't. That's a hurdle that I feel that I've gotten over. Just because I feel really secure in what I do now. I also feel very secure in saying what I am not good at and not strong in. You know, I think in the beginning, when you're a little green, you want to just overpromise and you're not necessarily delivering. So I've taken the approach of underpromise and overdeliver. And I've also taken the approach of, I'm not really sure how to do that. Let's figure it out. Hire somebody smarter than you. And then I also resonate with something that my father taught me growing up. You can please some of the people all of the time, all of the people some of the time, but never all of the people all of the time. So I think that mantra is very important because otherwise you will not survive in this business.
That is a very, very good mantra. Well done to your dad for thinking of that, because that is bloody brilliant. And yeah, you can't please everyone. You can please everyone all the time. It's different projects, different people, and we're all individuals, aren't we? So that's why. Which is, but it sounds like you've got through. To be honest, all these hurdles sounds like you've got past them.
Yeah, I mean, every job definitely presents new challenges. I'm not going to say that every job is a walk in the park. It's hard. But I just, I think that waking up every day and making that conscious effort, to be better, to be open-minded, to take the experiences that you've had and, put that into your day. And then, meeting friends along the way. I mean, that is just so huge in this business. I've heard people say, this is business, not friendship, but I tend to disagree because I don't want to work with somebody 15 hours a day that I don't like. I will go on another job.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, and that's another good thing, making your friends as well. Oh, you just bringing them out all the time. You are, I love it. So, leading on from favorite parts and hurdles, it'd be nice to know what your personal aims and goals are.
So, a personal aim and goal, I would like to incorporate as a company and a brand at some point. It's something I've been working on for years. The struggling artist thing where it's like never good enough to put out yet. I really like to be able to offer opportunities to people. I like when people have an idea and a vision and making it happen. I truly want to be able to hire people that have talent and use their talents for a greater good. Those are all things that are really important to me. I mean, especially right now with what's going on, keeping the economy going within our community is something that I'm trying really hard to do. I'm not necessarily getting paid for it right now, but I know that this is a stepping stone to the next chapter of life in a way.
Aren't you at the moment doing the mask thing as well? Because I wanted to talk to you about that as well, because you're on about helping people, and this is helping people what you're doing right now. Do you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Sure. Okay, so when the pandemic hit, we knew we were going to be out of work for a while. An art director friend of mine, Justin Cox, is a very close friend of mine, and we've worked together on several shows. And we were chatting on the phone, and we knew we wanted to do something to help. We knew we had to give ourselves a project, or we were both going to go crazy. We wanted to pool our network together to stay in touch still while we're all staying apart. So this Art Makes Masks was born. You know, we co-founded Art Makes Masks together, branded it, reached out to everybody that we knew, and launched it. And the outpour of calls, emails, texts, support, it was mind-blowing. I mean, we're in week 5 or 6 now, I believe, and we've procured almost 10,000 face masks and face coverings to New York City and its surrounding boroughs. So this includes donations to healthcare workers, less fortunate clinics, elderly nursing homes, youth organizations, LGBTQ facilities. And our mission essentially is to provide alternative PPE where it's not available to the most people as quickly as possible. So that's what we're doing. We were lucky enough to partner with ArtCube Army, which is a division of ArtCube Nation. Now, this is an international group, but it's a network of art department professionals. They alone have made, resourced, and delivered over 10,000 face shields. So they're making shields, we're making masks. I mean, they're making other stuff as well, which is amazing. And these are all resources within our TV, film, and theater community. So it's been insanely positive, and
wow,
people that maybe at some point in life I would have met them through the job, through the friend, but it's incredible that everybody right now is just kind of together. And I saw your thing on Facebook, but then I saw it on ArtCube and I pieced it together. So people are coming out of the woodwork right now. It's really, really great to reconnect and also meet so many new wonderful people.
That sounds incredible. I've been looking at them, and it's so warm and bubbly and bright what you're doing, and I love how your room, when you sent me a picture of your room, is just covered in materials. It's amazing, isn't it, how something like this can bring people together, even hard times. You push through all together, and what you're doing is amazing. So I mean, I know I'm in the UK, but thank you from everyone, because even helping someone in the USA, UK, as a person, and just thank you very much for that. So it's amazing.
Thank you.
Cool. So I don't want to go on to that question. It seems like it's not on topic what we've just done. So I feel like we've used all these. So tell us about your latest project. It's going a bit off topic of what we've just been talking about, but talking about art, what is your style? What would you say is your style, and why, if you can pick that?
Okay, my style. Okay, so my style, I do like very clean with pops of color. I generally gravitate towards kitschy, which some people either love it or they hate it. But making curiosities, like I mentioned before, or like custom seating cards for wedding guests, for instance, anything of that nature, I really love tying a feeling to a final look. So I would say, yeah, I'm kind of the crafty, proppy, bling it out kind of girl.
You're everything. You are everything. Which is, like I said, 100% adaptable. But I love. So does kitschy mean emotional art? Like you put cute stuff to art? Is that what kitschy means?
Kitschy to me is. Do you all have like home goods out there? What's a good kitschy thing in my room right now that I could use? Okay, I'm gonna grab this.
Seriously, because I don't know. Someone else might know what kitschy means, but I don't know what kitschy means.
Okay, so like, I love this little artichoke thing. It's so me because I'm Italian. I love artichokes. Like, this would be a kitschy piece because it's just like not a normal thing that somebody would have. Or kitschy also could be, so I did my best friend's seating cards. So, you could just have the plain white and fold it over and it has the name on it and that's it. I went to Michael's, which is a craft store here in the States, and I had paper laid out all over the aisle, all different kinds of paper. So I was mixing textures and colors, and then we custom made them and, had a very specific font that we use. That would be kind of kitschy just because it's so custom and cute.
I love it.
Okay.
I am so kitschy. Like, I don't know if you know, but my room is covered in these little llamas because I love llamas.
I see the llama. The llamas would be considered kitschy.
And I love llamas before it was cool.
Okay, I really love that.
I've had these llamas for so long, for about 4 years. They weren't even cool then. So
that's amazing.
Honestly, obsessed. But I love kitschy. I love that word as well, kitschy. I'll be using that all the time now, definitely. So, do you want to tell us more about different projects you've done?
Some projects I've done. So I just found out today, actually, the show that I just worked on called Legendary, which is going to be on HBO Max. That is premiering on May 27th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, we just found out today that it has to air first, but there's word that it will be considered for an Emmy. So I was like, this is so awesome right now. I got to art direct on
Emmy award winner.
I was like, I texted one of the producers and I'm like, so does the whole crew get invited if the show is up for an Emmy? That would be pretty awesome.
That is amazing. Wow. Well done. That's incredible and brilliant to know about being an Emmy. Like, I actually do need this. I feel like you're famous. I've got someone famous.
Oh, I am not.
Take it, girl.
I just work with a lot of famous people.
You made the work for the famous people, so you are famous. There you go. Oh, I think you are. In a little man.
Yeah.
I think you are.
So I would say, honestly, like the Legendary show, The Big Fib, which was the Disney Plus, and then I worked on the Drew Barrymore pilot for CBS, which that got picked up and is supposed to be shooting in September, I believe. I think everything's sort of on hold right now, so I don't really know the answer to that. But I really absolutely, Drew Barrymore is seriously one of the sweetest people I've ever met in my entire life. And she's so involved in the process too, and very approachable. She was very involved with every step along the way. And it was so refreshing. I was so happy to meet her and her not be one of those people that you're like, oh man, they're not cool. She's just so pleasant and wonderful. And I really hope I get to work on her show again.
Yes, course you will. You're very, very likable as well. So I think that'll definitely happen. But they are some big names. Like they are, wow, crazy. And sounds like have you got any more work lined up?
I'm on hold. I mean, everything is on hold right now.
Whole life.
It's just, yeah. So, you know, typically as a freelancer, you know, I've been very fortunate that I have literally not had any time off. I've gone straight from show to show to show since last July, outside of these past almost 8 weeks now. But in freelance world, it's not untypical. It's typical that if you are on a show and then you have some time in between and then, you know, before your next show, the weird thing about what's happening now is that we're on hold for stuff, but we can't do anything about it. You know, it's just kind of going to be when the government says we can open again. So yes, I'm on hold for a show in LA. I'm on hold for a commercial here in New York. I'm also on hold for, I believe it's a documentary here in New York. It's a very quick 1-2 thing. And then there's another show in LA. So I'm kind of just trying to build the basket up with many eggs to see what.
You are busy when this is all over.
I mean, I just don't know, because I have that weird feeling that New York's going to open last. So it probably makes sense for me to go to LA. I mean, that's just what I'm thinking in my head, but it's just really hard. It's hard to make a determination until we hear anything. Until we hear anything, really. So.
No, that's completely fair enough. But it sounds like you've still got some really, really good plans. It doesn't just all stop there. It sounds like you're a go girl, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, and the idea here with Art Makes Masks is all 100% donations, but we are pivoting in the sense that anybody that buys a mask through Art Makes Masks, 100% of the proceeds go to the organization to procure the demand. So that's its own thing. There will be a pivot, though, for us to start taking orders. And my idea was to pitch to production companies. Because once we get back on set, we're all going to be having to wear masks.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of potential orders that have already started trickling in that, we'll actually be able to get a deposit and then open the industry. For all the stitchers that have been doing this for free for us, we would like to offer them a job now and get paid to make them for production companies so that we're keeping the economy going within our industry. A thank you to those who have been volunteering, some sense of security of having some kind of work. That's another, again, the opening jobs to people is very important to me. So we'll see where that goes and how that goes, but hopefully we'll be getting I don't know, projections for 5,000 masks right now to sell. That's separate from the donation. The donation's still hitting that 10,000 mark. So we'll see what happens.
Exciting. That's a really good idea for the production companies, because people are going to have to wear masks and movie ones, so people will look sassy while they're staying safe.
Exactly. I mean, we're seeing show black masks. We could put a little logo on, whatever. I mean, we're going to need them. Don't go to Etsy, and no offense to Etsy, but don't go to Etsy. Hire the wardrobe people and the art people who are makers. Hire us, because even when we get back on set, it's probably only going to be about 25% of the crew. They're going to have to keep people sequestered in pods, and not every production has the means to be able to fill those requirements right now. So if you have a crew that has 15 people on it, hire one of our stitchers to make 15 masks for you.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
And at least they get some money,
And then everyone's happy. You're safe and everyone's happy and everyone's got a job, and that's the main thing at the moment, is keeping everyone happy, mainly happy and healthy, both of them. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, because I feel like all my questions kind of link together with what I've been saying, and I didn't want to take too much of your time up. I just kind of wanted to end on kind of two things. What resources have helped you that you think will help other people who are young, who are feeling a bit confused about what's happening in the world, as being an art director, prop maker, and a set director, decorator, and also what advice? Because I feel like coming from you, it would be amazing being a woman and doing so well.
Don't sit around on set on your phone. This is the worst thing. You're not a producer. There's no reason that you should be on your phone like this, sitting on set. That is a real thing, you know? Hold a clipboard, walk around and pretend you're inventorying something. You should always look busy. There's always something to do. Somebody always needs help. And especially if you're not sure what department you want to get into, you know, read between the lines of looking at somebody and seeing if it's a good time to ask them if you can help with something. You know, the last job that I worked on, for instance, our PAs were amazing. They would always check in and say hi and say, if there's anything you need today, please let me know. Or I'm in between a couple of things right now. Is there anything I can do? Like, I'm kind of interested to see, you know, what you do here in art department. I mean, they were able to cut fabric for us, which sounds so trivial, but it kept production go. You know, we didn't have to do it, you know. And it's not about not having to do something. It's just about, you know, getting the production process streamlined in a way that is more efficient. So they caught us on some good moments, and I'm going to tell you something. I have their numbers in my phone. I will 100% call them, you know, the next time I have a crew, or if I hear somebody saying, hey, I need somebody, I'm going to say, you know, that person from that show was really just so thoughtful, and they always checked in, and I just really vibe with positive people like that are proactive. And then we also have all of this technology now. We're all home. I mean, there is no reason that you can't be making things and then just grab a cardboard box, paint the inside of it white, throw a light in there, and start making things and create a brand maybe, and trying to sell stuff. Or, you know, there's so many different ways that you can improve your craft. And the only way to do that is to actually just do it, you know, go in your backyard. I mean, I don't know. Some people have a backyard, some people don't, you know, they have their studio apartment. Maybe you're more of a graphic designer. Maybe, you know, they have free tutorials and classes online, especially now. I mean, everything is, a lot of companies are giving out free classes and whatnot. Take a 3D rendering class. You know, that might seem very scary to you. I mean, it was for me. I was in between shows, and Entertainment Partners, which is a payroll company, they randomly posted something online saying, hey, we're offering 2 students free SketchUp classes. You have to apply. And it was a whole thing for a grant and whatnot. I was very lucky that I got chosen, and I got about $6,000 worth of SketchUp classes for free, which is a 3D rendering program. So there's all these just things. And weirdly, right after that, the job that I wound up working for 2 years, it was a lighting company that I designed their exhibition shows, which is why I traveled to Europe for, you know, Germany and London. Had I not done that class, I wouldn't have gotten that job. I needed to know SketchUp to be able to even apply to that job. So it's stuff like that, just being proactive and like looking out there and not being scared, and getting a resume together, having, you know, you need different resumes for different things too, that are more tailored approaches, if you will. So don't be scared. Just do it. The worst thing that can happen is somebody says no, or you don't hear from them. You're in the same position that you were before. It's a numbers game.
It really is. Well, so that's all the resources and your advice, and I think that's just do it. Is definitely the best thing to do. And to be honest, that's really, really good advice you've been given as well, for how people can just get creative and just get in there. And I like how you added in some stuff of being, we call it, like, you call it a PA, we call it a runner. But if you're a runner, you have the rubbish jobs, the jobs that no one wants to do, but that's how you get noticed and that's how you get in. And that sounds brilliant. But thank you so much for your time, Lisa.